Buccateers podcast is a proud member of the TSPN, the Time Sleep Podcast Network. You can catch our podcast on a number of outlets, including Google, Apple, Spotify, and just about any damn outlet imaginable. And you can follow us on YouTube and Twitter today at Buccateers Podcast. Hello, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Tampa Tones. We got a special short show tonight. It's a mini. It's going to be a good one. It's a Madden rundown and how these sleazeballs at EA Sports treat our fan base, and not only treat our fan base, but treat our Super Bowl champion, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, including me getting blocked by one of the key contributors on Twitter to Madden ratings. We'll get into that in a bit with Stunna. We got a good rant or so to do on these damn dudes, and for good reasons too. We were going to be joined, and we might be joined by a special guest to help us break down and dig into these Madden evaluations and ratings. But nonetheless, I'm Tampa Tones. You can follow me on Twitter at TrickyTonesBGTE. You can follow the pod at Buccateers. You can follow my other pod at Cracker Jacks Pod. It's in a hiatus at the moment, but you never know when it may spin out. Without further ado, I'm going to bring in my co-host, one of the great members of the Buccateers crew, one of the contributors of the Buccateers podcast, the man, the myth, the legend. He does it all, folks. Mr. Stunna, Buccaneers Stunna. How we doing today, my friend? Are you ready to engrave these bastards like they deserve to be?
Yeah, absolutely, man. What we have to realize as a fan base is that these EA player ratings is how the national media or national people that might not just be football fans look at our team, and they look at our team. It's like, this is a realistic evaluation. We know it's not.
Yeah.
And so we need to go out here and strive for respect so that our players can have the dignity and the honor they deserve as champions, not to be treated, as second-class players by these nefarious ratings.
I couldn't agree more. And as you know, I told you Madden got to be a big letdown for me, so I had to take a hiatus from the game, and I'm still currently on that hiatus because they did the Bucs wrong, and they continue to do the Bucs wrong. And until that changes, I'm not going to buy the damn game, and I've committed to doing so. So until they fix things, until they learn to patch the holes with the Super Bowl champions, which you would think Stunna this year would be a good one if any year. We just came off the Super Bowl win. I would expect our Madden 22 rating to be the best team in Madden. I would expect us to be the top team. We won the Super Bowl last year. We brought everyone back, and we had a couple off-season ads, not many departures, and we had a hell of a draft, if you haven't heard. So I don't know about you, but if we're not the damn number one overall team in this year's Madden, to me, that's a slap in the face by guys like Swami Guru and the rest of those guys.
Yeah, you would expect us to be at least the top rated or top 5 per position per, as one of the top teams in the NFL. Our power rating, according to NFL Network, is number 1 overall. So you would expect that to be the case. However, these guys, for years on years and then they just roll over the ratings from the previous season. They don't do a lot of deep dives into the ratings. They're not film gurus. They're not watching film. They're not evaluating the position. They just throw darts at a board and then they justify their position by saying, oh, we don't use stats, we use PFF ratings. Then we point out the PFF ratings of players like Carlton Davis. They get real quiet, and then they can't justify that, or they come up with another foolish, around the way of trying to hide their bias. Because the truth is, they just like the players they like, and they like the teams they like, and the popular teams are rated higher due to their popularity, and they won't release the algorithm that they use to come up with these player evaluations. Because of that, because we know the popularity is a factor. And what happens is most people just get on and play mutt, so they're not playing with the exhibition one-on-one with those rosters, so they don't really know how the players are being evaluated because they're not going to get on there and get upset because their team is rated so low that they can't even compete. Mm-hmm. So they just go to mutt and build up a team there. And so most people aren't even aware of the bias and disrespectful ratings that the Buccaneers get showed year on year in, because the exhibition one-on-one feature is rarely used as far as the mass majority of Madden participants. So it's just real unfortunate that having an attitude of just fed upness with the product is running people away from even using or even be able to represent with a real team, with a real roster, instead of having to forge a roster on mud. That's not realistic, but it's what they want to force people into doing, through dysphoria, so that they can buy those mud pats and spend actual money. So it's very crooked in a matter way of how they do it. But the biggest shame on there is how they have our run defense rated so poorly. And we're one of the easiest teams to run on, and the gameplay feature of the exhibition one-on-one. And we've had the number one rush defense in the NFL the past 2 years. So it's just more evidence that they don't watch football. They don't evaluate the game. They don't understand the way football works. And they certainly don't, look at evaluate players across the board when they come up with their ratings.
And I agree 110 freaking percent with everything you just said. You preach to the choir. They don't watch a damn film. They don't break it down. They just look at a board that maybe a clown circus site like PFF puts out that not many people should look into to begin with, but they do. So that's why things like Madden and other sources of media tend to use them, and that's what brainwashes some people. But it's Madden 21 ratings. As I'm looking through these ratings, it's comical. They don't even have a long snapper position yet in the game. It's Madden 2021. They have Zach Triner rated as a 23 overall at tight end. That dude is not a tight end. Okay, you see what I'm saying? So they got Zach Triner at a 23 overall. That dude, that's disrespectful to him. He's a hell of a long snapper. That's not how that should work. I'm going through Aaron Stinney, 60 overall. Terrible. That's unacceptable. That cannot happen. There's plenty more to pick apart here, too. We're just going to start it. Blaine Gabbert, 62 overall. You mean the same Blaine Gabbert that started a playing game and started 48 NFL games before? You mean the same guy who's a scrambling threat? He should be at least a 68, 69 overall. Come on with the 62 overall. That's low. Josh Wells.
The problem is it's not even the overall ratings that's really the worst thing about it. You have people like Levante David rated 91 overall. But if you play the game, he gets burnt anytime he's in man coverage. When he's got the hook to curl zone, he lets people run through the zone unchecked. And the way our defensive backs are rated, it's like when somebody came out and said we had the 32nd rated defensive backs, it's like EA stuck with that and never changed their mind from it, even though we turned it around the whole season and won the Super Bowl. Like, they didn't even watch the season. They figured that we were the 32nd ranked secondary, before week one occurred, and that they were going to stick with that. That was their story, and they're going to stick to it. And you can't challenge them, and you can't question their positioning, because they shut down any kind of commerce with the fans. And then if you try to challenge them, like you said, you get blocked on Twitter.
Like I did.
Yeah, like you did. If you try to send them an email, that's a waste of time. Who reads the email? So it's really ridiculous, the fact that because they have the monopoly on these player ratings, that they can, basically rate our players however they feel, and they do it with impunity. Just like Ali Marpet being rated lower than Richie Incognito. Never made a correction of that. And to this day, that's still the fact.
That's terrible.
And there's no way. Ali Marpet, it's like they're afraid to give our guys 90s, and then they're afraid to give our future Hall of Fame players 99s.
Donovan.
Honestly, I'm gonna tell you something, Tones, that they disrespected Mike Evans for years.
Yeah.
And even now, he's a 91 overall, which is disrespectful to his level of talent. But they never put his tattoos on his arms until he hosted that kid after the Madden tournament in Jacksonville. And it's a real shame the way that they do our players, man. Our offense, Donovan Smith, man.
He was a 69 overall until week 13, and he's a damn starting Super Bowl left tackle for Tom Brady. And then they tried to jack him up to 73 after the Super Bowl, which is still nothing. Shame on them. Shame on these bastards for doing. Shame on them.
Yes, and Will Goldston, we always preached about, how they slept on him, and before I took it personal, but then when I heard Carlton Davis interview, that one of the most disrespectful things you do to a professional athlete is when you sleep on them, and they're sleeping on our whole defense because our defense is not dominant the way they are in reality. And Madden used to say, if it's in the game, it's in the game. But obviously, what's going on in the game is not being transferred onto the video game,
Right.
because our passing attack is not on the level. You can't run the ball with Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay had the most rushing yards per attempt of any team in the league last year. We just didn't run it we didn't carry the ball for 30 times a game, but we would carry it 20 times a game and get the same amount of yards as teams that pounded it 30 times a game because our running backs were that good and our line was that good. So when you try to play Madden and you try to run the ball, you can't run behind our offensive line. It's one of the best offensive lines in football.
Yeah.
All right. Just because you don't know our players doesn't mean that our offensive line is shabby.
Right.
And unfortunately, when the game is played, they don't do double teams. So you have to win all one-on-one blocks. So if you have any kind of delinquency on your O-line, if there's any kind of holes in there, if there's any players that are poorly rated, then they will show up in the game, and they'll cost you plays and they'll cost you wins. And why are we losing games because of our linemen when they're one of the best? Why do we have our receivers dropping passes when we know these are the best receivers in the NFL? Okay. And then the running backs, let's not get started on that. These guys can't break a tackle. When in reality, you got guys like Leonard Fournette getting arm tackled on a video game.
Mm-hmm.
And then our defense, our front seven is very slept on. The number one rushing defense in the NFL is when you play Madden, it's one of the easiest defenses to run the ball on, which is the exactly opposite of reality. And then our secondary, they play out of position. They lose their coverage. We'll give up corner routes versus a cover 3 defense, which should never happen.
Right.
But they'll play out of position and they'll allow people to catch balls. If you can't run a cover 2, they have our safety so slow. Oh my God, what they did to Jordan Whitehead is so sad.
Well, what they did to Ryan Suckup is a crime.
Yeah, but Ryan Suckup, at least they brought him up during the season. Okay. Well, look at what they did to our secondary. They made Jamil Dean at 80, and when Sean Murphy Bunting, who should be the starter, instead of making him better to go over the top of Jamil Dean, they gave him an 80 also.
Yeah.
So on the game, you have Sean Murphy Bunting as a third-string cornerback.
Yeah.
How much sense does that make? We know Sean Murphy Bunting is a starter.
Right.
Okay, so it's like and then the way they did Jordan Whitehead, he's so slow on there. If you ever have Carlton Davis, Jordan Whitehead to the same side of the defense, you're going to get burnt because they have their speed so terrible. But you look at a secondary like the 49ers or somebody ridiculous like that, who we know their defense is terrible. All their guys in the secondary have speed.
Well.
So, we just want them to be consistent and give our guys the credit they deserve, okay, and rate our team appropriately, and don't sit there and give us attitude because you don't think our players are top 10 when we're the world champions. Obviously they are. Okay, obviously, we won 3 road games and won the Super Bowl. So, obviously we have one of the greatest teams ever. And if you look at our ratings and you look at our team as far as the roster is concerned on EA Madden Exhibition 1 vs. 1, that's not the case.
Yeah, Lord knows, don't try and kick a field goal if you need to either. Ryan Suckup has a 92 kick power and a 76 kick accuracy only. Rated as 74 overall. That's actually one worse than he was going into week 15. So somehow Ryan Suckup lost 1 overall point and he went 28 of 31 in field goals this year. To me, that's more accurate than the 76 overall accuracy rating. That's pretty damn bad, if you ask me. As Stennis said, Jordan Whitehead's low at 76. Will Golston, it's like he runs in mud. Leonard Fournette is only his 78 after all he did in the playoffs. And then you look at some of the big boys on the Bucks who you figured like, all right, these guys will be 90 overalls for sure. And I'm talking about like the Jason Pierre-Pauls of the world and players like that, right? So no, they're not. JPP is a 85 overall. Jason Pierre-Paul, a premier pass rusher in the NFL, and one of the best the Bucks have to offer is a 85 overall. That's just what we're saying. Chris Godwin doesn't even break the 90s either. He's a couple short of 90. He stands in at 88 overall. You have guys like Shaq Barrett who don't hit 90. We all know he's one of the best, if not the best, pass rusher in the NFL right now. Shaquille Barrett. He should be the highest in Madden, if not at least the 90s. And he
They
doesn't.
don't mind giving Philadelphia or other teams like that 90s all over their defense.
Right. And then you got Antonio Brown at 86. We know he's damn better. Gronk, 86. He's better. Sue is an 85. Devin White's a 80 frickin' 4. 80 fucking 4 for the best fucking linebacker in football almost. Devin White, that's a damn shame. And that's 2 up. He was at 82 going into the damn Super Bowl. And they docked him 2 up.
Leonard Fournette was ranked higher with the Jacksonville Jaguars than he is with the Buccaneers.
That's how you know it's pathetic. Just because he had less yards per carry with the Jaguars, but had a bigger volume of work because he was the only thing they had for offense, and he didn't equate to that great of statistics over there, and then played less for us and had more success. That's how things work. The more you do in real life, the better your rating should be. Not the opposite. Just because you have a big volume of work doesn't mean they kiss your ass with a big rating. It's confusing to me. Stunna, I think you hit the nail on the head with the D-back analysis greatly. I mean, we could go on and on about all these. Tristan Wirfs ain't even a 90. Jensen Marpet ain't a 90. It's like they're afraid. What the fuck is this? It's like they're afraid to give our offensive line a 90. They give Marpet.
Yeah. They go right to 89 and stop.
Right. Marpet, Jensen, and Wirfs.
Too many 90s on the team. Okay, and you brought up a great point with JPP. Your favorite Twitter contributor from EA got on the soapbox and swore up and down that JPP wasn't dominant. But yet we saw this year in the playoffs against Green Bay and against Kansas City that he was definitely dominant. Okay, in the 2 championship games. So this guy is a winner. He's a champion. Like I said in the tweet, he's a borderline Hall of Fame player.
Yeah.
If he gets another Super Bowl, it's you just get him a jacket. Okay, so don't sit there and disrespect Jason Pierre-Paul, everything he's done for this area as being a USF grad, and then what he's done in the NFL. He's been a constant approach since he got there. Okay, so I understand you're never going to give us the credit because if we are the highest ranked team, then everyone's going to give them sour grapes. Just like everyone gave a hard time about Gronk being a 95 when the season started. And so they dropped him down to an 86. Now, he just got two Super Bowl touchdowns. He hasn't improved any. They kept him there. Yet you got the 49ers tight end can get injured and not even finish the season, and he never dropped at all. So it's just really suspect. It's a bias. It's a bias against the Buccaneers because they're a small market team. And I remember calling them out when they came to our preseason game. So you're sitting on the sideline watching the Bucs play in a preseason game against Cleveland Browns, and you do nothing to help our defense. When you see them shut down Cleveland for the whole half, the first half, which is when the starters are out there, and having plenty of opportunities because Cleveland actually tried a game plan for that game where we did, and we just went out there and played a preseason game. So they had an advantage over us, and yet our defense still performed. And then they still did not give us credit, and they were sitting on the sidelines. So if you see it with your own eyes in living color and you still don't recognize the realness, you never will because you just bias. Okay, they actually improved Cleveland after that game, if you can believe that, and ignored our Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And it's really sad because we know that their complex is in Orlando, so they're in the great state of Florida, yet they're throwing shade on Florida's favorite team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And it's just really embarrassing.
It's really embarrassing. It's really terrible, and I don't like it. And that's why I look forward to hopefully having Mo in our next episode when we break down the Madden overalls and ratings when they come out for the first time, or the gameplay. I think you said you could get a access pass to play ahead of the time, perhaps if you get a code, so maybe people can get a live look at the Bucks early and see if EA Sports justifies them. And I'm just saying, Bucks deserve more Pro
Well,
Bowlers. Go
an
on.
obvious part, the fact that we only got one Pro Bowl was just because the vote was rigged. They did the Pepsi vote, so the popular teams got a bunch of people that didn't even belong to be mentioned. All right, we want to talk about the one Pro Bowl. But, the thing, excuse me, the thing with the ratings, like I was saying earlier, is it has something to do with national prestige.
Yep.
And it's like something has to give. We're gonna, like you said, we'll revisit this when the new ratings come out at the beginning of Madden 22. But they have, it's like they have got to recognize the abilities of our players, at least in comparison to others. If you're going to keep us this low, everybody needs to drop or give us the credit that other people are getting.
Mm-hmm. No doubt. That's no doubt. If you were to fix one thing or recommend one fix for next year's Madden game for the Buccaneers team besides overalls, what would you tell the guys making the game to improve for Bucks fans? Is I mean, a lot of them are probably going to start judging like I do. Should we even buy this game if they keep disrespecting us? So what's one thing that you think could one Bucks fan should be on the look for when Madden 2022 goes on the shelves in your local store?
Well, I'm like, why are you changing our playbook? Because you made our defense worse. You took out the odd formation out of our 3-4 defense, and odd is the only formation there where you can bring 5-man pressures or have a flat defender with where they have the green zone coverage in their zone. So when you didn't even offer odd, so somehow you made our defense worse. Over the years, you've been taking the plays, the best passing plays out of our playbook. Just why are you making us weaker? Why are you attacking us by taking plays out of our playbook? You should be expanding our playbook, if anything.
Exactly, and I think that they need to be. I mean, the creativity and depth of the playbook of both Coach Arians and Leftwich and all of the other coaches is exquisite. So they need to expand that playbook for sure. And once again, we're here with the Buccateers podcast, and we're winding down. We're winding down here as we get into the later episodes of the Buccateers. Sorry for the noise. Other than that, Stunna, anything we can tell fans if they should buy this game, or do you think they should buy the game this year? Or do you think that there's more to be told and more to be studied upon in order for fans to make the call for themselves?
Well, my thing is, you've already, EA, you've already driven off so many of your fans. I'm not even talking about Bucks Nation. I'm just talking about sports fans or football fans or even Madden fans. You've driven them away with the product you're putting out, man. Just improve the product. But as far as the Bucks are concerned, the Bucks Nation, when these ratings come out and they come out with the promos and all this, if they trash our team again, you got to let them hear it, man. We got to get someone in the AP to come out and speak out against this stuff so that we can have a unified front of people that are fed up with the foolishness and that will support our players to get the respect they need and our team to get our respect on the national level that they deserve as world champions. Because every time me or Mo ever got into a Twitter rant the response was always, "Oh, you're a losing team. Why you don't win, so your players aren't. Why are you worried about how good your players are? Because you're losing." Well, we just won the Super Bowl, so now you're out of excuses. Just like they used to talk about, we don't use the stats, we use PFF. Well, now we're rated high on PFF too. Now the pundits are saying our defense carried the offense, but if I turn on Madden, the defense definitely is not carrying the offense. Okay, so if it's in the game, it's in the game. Fix your bias ratings against the Buccaneer players. Fix the playbooks and quit taking away plays that teams need to be successful or to compete, and just put out a better product. And what I would tell Bucs fans is, if they disrespect us again, and if I play and it just makes you upset, because you should be better than that as a world championship team. So if it's just going to upset you to the point that you're going to turn it off or snap your disc in half anyway, just don't even buy it.
I agree there. I mean, if you're to the point where you are going to just get mad or break the game, I would not recommend buying it either, as these things are inexpensive these days. So make sure to make the wise choice, and they don't treat Bucks fans too well, so maybe we shouldn't treat their product too well. Mr. Stunna, any other last words before we log off of this good but short, effective episode of breaking down these slums who depict the EA overall ratings of our team?
If you're a Buccateer fan, when the ratings come out, expose it. Expose what's wrong. Keep telling them. Don't be shy about it. All right, you gotta put the truth out there. And then if nothing happens, then nothing would have happened if you didn't put it out. But at least if you put it out, we can clear our conscience and let it be known that if you have the responsibility of the only NFL football game to rate players, then you need to be in the film room. You need to be a student of the game. I don't want to see you tweeting about baseball scores. You need to be evaluating what makes a player great and what makes a player average or what makes a player below average. Because right now, you don't have a clue.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, and I think people like me and you would love to do the ratings for free if we got a crack at it. Even we'd be like, shit, we'll actually put more thought into it than these damn guys, and they're getting paid a lot of this money to watch.
Anybody that does fantasy football could do a better job.
Oh yeah, I'm only in 7 leagues, so maybe I could be the next man on the totem pole. Well, not that I might want to be, because we see the corruption that EA may try and push on you when you do their ratings. So maybe these guys got to lay off the baseball and other sports, as Stunna said, and focus in on more football, as they are getting paid to rate and talk football. So that's that on terms of the raters, evaluators, and Madden officials at EA. And it once was a beautiful place for sports games, in particular Madden, and now it's turning into more of a dark cloud. So let's hope that the year 2022 in Madden and in real life for EA Sports brings a lot better production and sustainability and a lot more fairness to the Super Bowl champions like we deserve. So we'll see if that does happen. We'll see how that rolls and how that gets us. So it was a good one. I enjoyed this Madden thing a lot more than I thought I would, even too. I think we're gonna have Madden shorts more here and there. Me, Stun, and a couple other of the guys will be getting in, like Mo and some other guest as well in these Madden episodes. But Stun, I think that was a good first Madden short, my man. How about you?
Hey, we brought it. We brought the truth. Anybody that's played knows that it's that the Buccaneers are slept on. And anybody that wants to come on, who wants to debate us, the floor is open. So if you're a YouTube contributor to EA Sports, or you're a YouTube contributor that debates EA Sports or Madden specifically, you're welcome to come on and speak your 2 cents, because we don't run from any debates. And our opinion, and is valid and is proven, is that EA slept on the Buccaneers the year they won the Super Bowl, in Madden 21. Supposed to be about the 2020 season where the Buccaneers were obviously the best team, and they're obviously not the best team if you look at the ratings. In fact, we're still rated behind Green Bay, which makes no sense because we swept them. But it's a great time to be a Buccaneer. One for all for one on the Buccaneer podcast, and go Bucks.
Yeah, I think Stunna hit the nail on the head there. Go Bucks, 1-for-1, or 1-for-all, one for. How do we say that, Stunna? What I like the saying you say.
All for one and one for all.
All for one
Buccateers.
and one for all. Buccateers. That's how we roll here. The five of us, and me and Stunna have been bringing the heat lately, and the rest will be joining back soon. I guarantee you that. The off season keeps chugging along. We'll be back to a full cast and a full loaded preseason breakdown soon, regular season breakdown soon. We might even have some live videos from games this year as well, so we'll keep those there. I just bought Titans Bucks preseason tickets. I got my Miami Bucks ticket. I'm going to road trip to the Colts game. I'm going to Bucks Bills eventually. And then Stun is a season ticket holder as well. So we got a lot of good times ahead on the Buccateers and more Madden to break down as we did tonight. He is Tampa Stunna. I am Tampa Tones. It's been a hell of a night. Until next time, we'll be back with more Buccateers in the near future. Thank you and good night. Go Bucks.
Go Bucks.
As always, go Bucks.